This is to advise those present at this meeting of the Board of Education of the Pinelands Regional School District in the County of Ocean that adequate notice of this meeting was provided in accordance with the Open Public Meeting Act. The notice has been posted in the Board of Education office, junior high school, and high school buildings. The notice was also mailed to the Press of Atlantic City and filed with municipal clerks of Bass River Township, Eagleswood Township, Little Egg Harbor Township, and the Borough of Tuckerton. Roll call, Mr. Brown.
Mr. Bonnicky, here. Assistant Tom. Ms. Chambers.
Here.
Are you sick?
Ms. Ernst.
Here.
Ms. Hamadel.
Here.
Mr. Kubricki.
Here.
Mrs. McVeigh.
Here.
Ms. Palladino.
Here.
Ms. Papakua. Mr. Williams.
Here.
Loud and clear, sir.
And we do have a quorum. Okay, I would like a motion to go into an executive session for an hour for the purpose of negotiations, attorney-client communications, and personnel matters. Do I have a motion?
Motion. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Okay, we are in executive session at Okay, I want to welcome everybody this evening. Our fire alarms are on test, so if it rings again, ignore it. I hope you brought your earplugs. And right now, this is a bit unusual, but I am going to ask Mr. Williams to open the meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance and a little thing that he has asked me if he could do. So Mr. Williams, go for it.
Thank you. With our Pledge of Allegiance this evening, afterwards I'm going to ask for a moment of silence for the passing of our original principal at Pinelands and long-term superintendent who had passed away last month, Mr. Clem Crea. Thank you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, the recognition has been read, roll call has been taken. So moving on, I would like a motion to approve the agenda. However, the agenda will show that item number 42 has been removed from the agenda. So do I have a motion to approve the agenda as is, leaving item 42 out?
So it's D42.
Yes.
Application, correct?
Yes.
Motion?
Second. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? Motion carries.
Looking for a motion to approve the minutes. Item number 6, A and B, open and closed sessions for our April 10th and our April 30th meeting. Do I have a motion?
Motion. Second.
Discussion?
April 10th, I need to abstain on, was not there.
Isn't that the one you participated by phone?
Oh,
Yes.
correct.
So
I'm
really,
sorry.
you
I
can't-
participated by phone.
You have to vote by phone, too.
Nick, I'll have to abstain for April 30th, both regular and executive.
I have to abstain for regular.
All right, I'm going to do roll the rest of the way. Mr. Bonnicky?
Yes.
Ms. Chambers?
Yes.
Ms. Ernst?
Yes.
Mr. Kubricki?
Yes.
Mrs. McVeigh?
Yes.
And Ms. Patlakua?
Yes.
And noting the abstentions for Ms. Palladino and Ms. Hannibal. Motion carries.
And yes on that.
Mr. Williams, sorry. You want to back the other two.
Item number 7 is the report of the superintendent, beginning with the superintendent's update.
All right, I have a couple presentations that are brief, and then I have other items to review. Yeah, do you want to click on it? It's not very long. Okay, wait for it to come up. One of the things the board had asked a few times was, what is the plan moving forward? As I sat down to actually put this together, I wasn't sure exactly what you were looking for, so it is a very brief overview. And as we get into data over the summer and we sit together as a board and we get some feedback from the staff and students, I'm sure the plan is going to look different. But for now, moving forward, you can click over. So the administrative team, we are down 1.5 administrators currently. As you know, when Ms. Frasca moved up to Dr. Stevenson's position, we did not refill that one, and we have a shared service for special education. So we are going to have to redistribute the responsibilities that the current administrative team has. For example, the amount of observations they're doing, who's doing SGPs, SGOs, walkthroughs, who are going to be leading which departments. And I know the board had asked for more of a visual of that. So I'm going to provide that in June. Another thing that has come up was the fact that we're going to 4 grades now in the high school, and we'll have 2 in the junior high next year. So some of those responsibilities are going to have to be reallocated, and perhaps an assistant principal will be shared now between the 2 schools to make sure that we always have coverage. We are going to have to look at our discipline from this past year, and we have had some concerns with vaping, bathrooms being vandalized, and such. It was a lot with everyone being in one building, and we get that. But we're going to take an in-depth look at that, and I'm meeting with students next week, and I've met with the staff once already. We're going to have a follow-up meeting and really together come up with a plan for the next school year for discipline. Incentives, definitely part of that, and what's a student in good standing, and what can our students work towards to make sure that they're being rewarded for their good behavior. And of course, as we did this year, to develop a WIG, which is a widely important goal for each one of the buildings. Based on data, where are we deficient and where do we need to work towards? So that's something that we'll be working on over the summer. For parents, we have a parent advisory group. We have a very large number, and I'm excited about that. We are meeting our first time at the end of this month, and I really would like this group to serve as a liaison between myself, the Board of Education, the school district, and the parent communities. Sometimes parents are reluctant to reach out. They feel like their voice isn't heard, so the group of parents that have responded are parents I've had a good relationship with, and I know that will express the concerns on behalf of the parents, so we're definitely excited about that. Volunteers, I had spoke with a parent today, and she and I were on the same page that I believe it's imperative to have parents more involved in the school community, and that may be where we have them serving as volunteers. We assign staff members, for example, to bathroom duty. But if they're absent that day or we're low on staff members, oftentimes we are short coverage. So to have parents come in that are willing to be fingerprinted and do a background check, but could help out with certain things like bathroom duty and being in the cafeteria and helping out where we might need extra support. And it's nice because they get to see what's happening on a daily basis in the school district. Communication. And I'd like to go through the advisory group for that. What are the most effective means of communication with parents and how can we enhance that? And increasing involvement, just how can we get them more involved in the daily operations of the school to see what's happening and all the great things that are taking place in our schools. With the staff, having informal meetings, we had a few this year, but I'd like to have them more often and not when there's some concerns, just hearing from them of how they're doing, how can we improve? Is the heat working? Is it too cold? Things like that. And creating an advisory group from the staff and representatives from support staff, cafeteria staff, our teachers, and being that liaison once again so they have a voice. Input on discipline, and I spoke about that already, and really just, focusing on the overall climate and morale and how they feel that we can improve that and what their needs are. And then lastly, the board set goals in the summer based on data, clear up any misconceptions on roles, responsibilities, policy. I know that some of the board members are very passionate about that, and that's a good thing. And where do we need to improve on that? And having more of a student focus, I think that if we can iron out some of the minutia of what are the roles, responsibilities, and are we following policy, and once that's established, we can primarily focus and talk about the students, student data, student achievement, student needs, and data, just giving the board as much data as possible that you can see what I see and that we can work together to improve as a school district. Okay, next I'd like to go into the strategic plan, and you do have a link for that on the board agenda. Now, I want to thank first and foremost all of the committee members. We had representation of parents, students, staff members, community members, and a lot of input that helped us to create this strategic plan that will run through June 30th of 2020. I'm going to go through it briefly, but you do have a copy, and if you ever have any questions, please feel free to ask. So our first goal is to produce positive, productive citizens. I want to point out that the Future Ready group which was consistent of board members and staff members, administrators, is focusing on 21st century learning and our technology capability. And we kind of infuse the two to make sure that our strategic plan goals are established, but we're infusing our technology needs to make sure that we have what we need capacity-wise to fulfill our goals. So you can see the 4 objectives, they're pretty clear. Some of the major activities for this first goal are going to be personalized learning for all of our students. And that's going to look different, obviously, for everyone and based on their interests and their needs. We would like to incorporate the PBIS that Mr. Denning will speak about tonight in all grade levels. And what that is more of a positive incentive. And as I said, he'll go into detail of the great job he's done this year with the 7th grade. We would like to go to a one-on-one, and that's going to take some time and money, of course, and reallocating some of our goals and our finances for that. Empowering students and creating a mentor program. You can go to goal 2, please. Oh, a little bit more on goal 1, my apologies. So just a summary on this, and we're on that, this is fine. More about the flexible learning, maybe adding additional elective opportunities for students outside of the school day. Maybe they could do that during their lunch and learn. That they have an interest in something, but they don't have enough time in their schedule, and they would have flexibility with our online programs to have those opportunities. Eventually, letting them take any type of class they want, whether it be face-to-face or online. And we're not talking about their entire schedule, but where it is feasible. You know, this is a time where students are very comfortable with technology, and they may be a better learner with this type of program. And once again, the personalized learning. So doing those surveys and seeing what the needs of our students are and tailoring the instruction and their educational plan based on that. This just goes into our flexible schedule, having career opportunities for students, and doing those assessments and looking at achievement data. This is something that we do ongoing. You know, looking at data, as I talked about, the board's going to do, seeing where our deficiencies are and creating plans to ensure that all of our students are making adequate progress. On to the next goal, goal 2. This is creating a positive image through consistent dissemination of academic and cultural success. This is really just producing that positive image. This was something that the committee felt very strongly about, that we need to start getting out there the great things that are happening at Pinelands. The first thing is social media, and the Cat Eye does a fabulous job with this already, but even enhancing that more. And we have some ideas for this summer that we're going to start once our high school opens again. The Alumni Foundation is already established due to the great work that that committee has done. The PTSO, Ms. Molaski, is amazing, and she already has that up and running. And dual enrollment is created, but we'd like to see about enhancing that more often based on the needs of our students and their interests. The top one there, this is just the last piece of goal 2. And this is doing best practices in our school based on things that are happening in other communities. And that might be through webinars or reaching out to other districts by visiting and seeing what we're missing here in Southern Ocean County that we can incorporate into our schools to make us top-notch and for students to want to be here and stay here. Goal 3 is about ensuring a clean, safe, and positive environment for all students, staff, and community members while maintaining fiscal responsibility. Obviously, our high school is going to be opening again, and we want to make sure that the newly renovated areas are maintained and kept well for many years to come. This goal also deals with rebranding our district and really getting ourselves out there on the map, creating an app, having job fairs for students and for the staff, and really getting the positive image out there that Pinelands needs. And then lastly, goal 4 is creating a connected plan that uses effective communication techniques. So this was something that parents felt strongly about, that, you know, are we communicating enough with them? Are we keeping them abreast of everything that's happening in the school district? And what is the best means of doing that? Obviously, now we use Blackboard, we use text, we have phone calls, we have the website. We are going to create a list of alumni that are willing to share experiences with the students, and we're doing that through the Alumni Foundation. And if you'll just scroll down a little bit more. We want to create a district hashtag in conjunction with our students to see what they think would be most appropriate. And then lastly, a development and communications plan, including actions as suggested by the National School Public Relations Association. So this would be something that would have to be established and then maintained and upkept throughout the strategic plan. Do any of the board members have any questions? I know that's a lot. All right, well, as you look through it, if you have questions, please feel free to reach out and make sure that you have a copy of this handy for our summer retreat.
I'll get it, that's right. I'm gonna go around this way. So I have a couple more items.
Okay, do you need the
No, I don't need that anymore.
All right, next on the list is bathrooms. I got numerous phone calls from parents, and there were some concerns about the bathrooms, whether they were open or not, and why or why not. I want to say that, a little update on that, we have the A-wing bathroom downstairs is continually open. We do not shut that one unless it's vandalized. Then it has to be shut down until it's repaired. The other bathrooms in this school prior to spring break were being locked in between classes because, as I said earlier, we don't always have coverage, and unfortunately, when a teacher wasn't sitting there, the bathroom was being vandalized. So after spring break, we opened everything up again, and we did have some vandalized, and as I said, then they're shut down until they can be repaired, and then they're opened again. But we do hear your concerns. It's kind of a no-win situation because we want to make sure the students have the bathroom opportunities. However, when they're vandalized, they have to be shut down anyway until they're fixed. So for next year, we do want to move forward with a different plan. And as I said, if we can get some parent volunteers, that would be amazing just to kind of help out with coverage-wise. But we are looking to solve that issue. A drug testing update, the Board of Education had asked for an update on that. And thank you, Ms. Kenny, for providing me some information on this. One of the things that was asked were, are we having repeat offenders? Those that were sent out for chemical assessments based on either being caught with some kind of device on their person or suspected under the influence. We had this school year 57 students sent out, and 14 of those were repeat offenders. 28 tested positive. Out of the 28, 9 of them were sent out because they were caught vaping. Some other data on this, the chemical assessments that have been sent out, and those are the ones that were suspecting under the influence or caught with some type of device. In 16-17, it was a little over $1,000 cost total. In 17-18, it was a little over $3,200. Now this year for 18-19 to date, we have spent over $8,000. The random drug testing is about $5,000 a year. We have spent this year to date about $3,000, but we're billed in 3-month increments, so we haven't gotten our most current bill rate yet. And I think that is all the information and update I have on that. Are there any questions?
So the 8,000 is for the 57?
The 8,000 was for the students that were sent out that were suspected to be under the influence or caught with a device on them.
Okay,
So not part of our random drug.
Not part of the
Right,
random.
additional, and so then 28 tested positive of the 57 and 9 were vaping.
Yes.
How many were repeat, and were they repeat of the 57, is that what you meant?
14 were repeat offenders.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Regarding the vandalized bathrooms, is there pictures of the vandalism that took place?
In most cases, yes, we do get them from the maintenance department when they're vandalized. They send me photos.
In most cases, do they exist?
I'm sorry, just what
Do
exists?
they exist, the photos from the recent vandalism?
Yes.
Okay.
All right, the next thing I have is the time capsule. I just wanted to give an update to the board. If you're on the construction committee, you're aware that we ordered a 2019 time capsule that looks similar to the original one that was in the wall. We have reached out to the senior class advisors, and they're very excited because they're going to decide what to put inside of it. So I will update you when they have decided. Next is miracles. So if you can get the packet that I had handed out to you, I will go through this. And if you have any questions, please let me know. You don't have one, Sue? Here you go. You're welcome. So the first quantitative goal dealt with reducing the cumulative number of absences by 10%. So the first sheet is just a summary of the goal and where our starting point was. If you go to the second page, anything that was in red is the update and the completion of it, and then underneath there is the corresponding document as a hyperlink, and I'm going to email this out to the board so you'll have access to all of those hyperlinks. So the first one is about the student handbook. We did change that in the beginning of the year to go from 20 absences permitted to 16. Parents were informed at back to school night of the changes, and our, as I said, the student handbook was changed as well. We changed our board policy, which was 5200. The administrative team during Monday morning message reviews this data and has discussion about it. Monthly newsletters that the principals sent out also incorporated a lot of this information. The truancy officer was used, and she spent time this year going to mediation with some families and to court. An incentive program was basically if they were not in good standing, they couldn't attend things like prom, trips, and walk-in graduation, and that was about being in loss of credit for some of their courses. Credit recovery was available to students, and they stayed after school to work on Edmendum if they were in loss of credit, and we also used those programs for homebound instruction. So there is an attendance comparison chart at the bottom that you have. So if you look to the total absences for 2017-18, there was a total amount of over 21,000 for the year. And when this chart was done, we were at almost 13,000. So that number is there for you for the school year. And then I broke that down on the right-hand side by junior high and high school. So you can see the significant difference in the two of them. What I'd like to point out on the next page is the graph that looks like this. And basically what that's showing you is the total amount of absences for the high school, and that number includes all absences, whether it is excused, a college visit, a religious holiday, if they were suspended. So if they were not physically present in school, it's counted in the total. And if you go to the next page, we're going to go to the next goal, which is qualitative goal number 1, and this dealt with creating more programs for students. So at the time we did this, our baseline data is in the chart that you can see in front of you. We had the one dual enrollment that Mrs. Porter did, but it was not listed for some reason on the state website. We weren't actually telling them we were doing that. CTE, you can see what we had there, or work-based programs. So we did work with many stakeholders, and if you look on the next page, we surveyed the student body in grades 7 to 10 to see what courses they wanted that were not currently offered, and we got 181 responses, and from that, we either created the academies, which incorporated those courses they wanted to take, or we are just offering those courses, and one of them was AP Psychology, so that will be added to next year because that's a course that many of them wanted offered. The partnership was formed with Stockton and as well as OCC for the dual enrollment, and the partnership was formed with Ocean County College that we were able to get the JAGS program, which is the Jobs for American Graduates, and those are for students that may not be college bound but are looking to enhance their skills for the workforce. As I said, 2 academies were created, biomedical and law, and you can see a sample of the dual enrollment law academy, which will be starting up in September. Are there any questions on the goals? Okay, I only have the questions from the website left, and I'm going to defer to Nick for a couple of these. So Nick, the first one is, when is the roof going to be fixed from the defective product Trumco?
All right, so I talked with Brooks about this, the roof gets fixed as they wrap up work at the senior high. They're anticipating the solution that gets applied at the end there, the Alpha Guard solution is the last step, after that's applied, they're done up there, and that should be in July. That timing is not firm yet, it's dependent on the rest of the construction schedule getting there, but they plan to have that done in July.
And if you could email me a little more detail. The
Are you
last,
talking about the atrium
I
windows
don't
on the
know, it just says
second or
windows.
third floor?
Yeah, so maybe if they can send more detail. Why is there nothing being done with Tremco since the product was, and then Nick and I he already discussed this.
Yeah, we've rectified the problem with Tremco. For the board's recollection, we entered into a warranty agreement. We have some roofing material that had some defect to it, and Tremco, who manufactures that material, has provided us with a warranty for that material and guidance on how to keep that warranty intact through the construction process. So, as part of that is the application of that final material to the top, but we have, that issue is resolved, and Tremco is honoring their warranty. And again, that'll wrap up when all the construction wraps up this summer.
Thank you, that's all I have.
Okay, looking at the things that are highlighted, monthly attendance report, discipline report, security drill. Any of the board members have questions on those before I turn the floor over to John and Brian? John and Brian, you're up.
Good evening. Right now, with the 3 projects that we have going on right now, the masonry, as you can tell in the front of the building, we demobilized the front of the gym for Mr. Pinelands. So the fencing is down, we're growing grass, we have sidewalks going in. We're finishing up on the front of A-wing for masonry and windows, and we're finishing a section in the back of the A-wing. The interior project, we are wrapping up, getting through D between the painting, the doors, the floor tile, the ceiling, the lights, and we're continuing through in a fashion into different wing areas. The last thing we've just started, which is the last phase, which is the site improvement paving project. The 2 things that are happening right now is that we're removing the guardrail that's along Nugenttown Road for realignment for the county's request, and we have a 4-foot chain link fence going up in that area for the protection to go through. The second thing is, if you notice in the field wise, is that we have set up construction zones for the reconstruction of the walkways with lighting that is going to be going from the athletic field complex to the gym. So right now, we're in that mode right now, and as soon as the construction finishes up on the outside, they're going to be working on the back and the side of the parking lot areas, and then as soon as the junior high closes, we have the bus loop and the improvements on this side.
Thank you. Any board members have questions? John, you have anything you need to add?
Yeah, Mr. Pinelands went off without a hitch. It went very well. The town, the state gave us their blessing. Everything checked out way better than they thought that it would, and we had no issues. American Athletics gave us the go-ahead to cut the football field for the first time, and we'll be cutting that tomorrow.
Awesome.
Okay?
Awesome,
That's it.
that's great. And the scoreboard you said is in?
Scoreboard is in. We're just waiting for the company
To install
yeah.
it. Okay, awesome. Anybody have questions?
Getting excited.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd just like to ask one for the public's concern. At this point, and all of us have been to all these meetings, we are still on target
Mhm.
for completion, on task, and within budget, correct?
We're targeting aggressively the finishing of the project and also the starting of this one.
Yeah.
Which we're basically, the material is in for air conditioning modifications and miscellaneous. So all that's sitting there, ready to go and such. So right now, the inspections, the hiccups, the structural have been pretty much shaken out.
So that's a yes.
Never ask a construction
It-
person.
At this point, we're expecting to complete and complete on time.
Right now, that's what the goal is.
Right.
And we're within budget, correct?
We're
Any
within
questions?
the referendum budget value.
Thank you.
Yes.
That was hard.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yes, okay. Thank you very much, both of you. Moving on to our presentations. Mr. Denning. It's nice to see you again.
Same as you.
Oops.
Yeah, Matt, can you check a couple?
That's good, thank you. All right, good evening, everyone. Thank you for the invitation, Dr. McCooley, and board members. Thank you for allowing me to present on PBIS. PBIS is very important to me. As a teacher, it's something that I did try to practice in the classroom. And when I became an administrator, it's something that Mr. Shore and Dr. Clark and I talked about a lot as far as how to bring it to the school on a school-wide basis. We already had a very good character education program in place, so to just wipe out a character ed program that was in place, it didn't seem like the right time. And then with the situation we had going into this school year, with the 7th grade students moving over to Frog Pond, we thought it would be a good time to start implementing on a smaller scale. So that's where all of this came from. Back up. Thank you. All right, so just a quick overview. PBIS stands for Positive Behavioral Interventions and Support. It's mentioned in 1997 IDEA law. So it's been around for a while. A lot of schools use this across the country. It is definitely an effective program. Moving forward a little bit to 2011, when the Anti-Bullying Bill of Rights was passed, there were some changes within the school. We were asked to appoint anti-bullying specialists. The name of our committee, one of the many committees that we have within the school, changed to the School Climate Team Committee. And annually, usually that group meets at minimum twice a year, but a lot of times with those meetings, you're discussing HIB cases throughout the year, especially when the law was first new. A lot of the discussion is, implementation, investigative procedures, and over the course of the few years of the law, as we're kind of sifting through this thing, a lot of it was reactionary. And to build school climate, you need to be proactive. So one of the things that we did before this school year began, we discussed getting a survey out there, identifying some of our weaknesses, and obviously when it comes to school climate, right now obviously we've had our struggles as a district, but we wanted to hear from parents, students, and staff, and some of the results, I pulled out a few that related to this topic only. But from the parents' end, there was about 37% of the parents that responded to the survey. There was a little over 100 parents that responded to the survey, which is a pretty good number. About 37% said that they weren't proud of the school. Ow, that hurts. That hurts, right? Because that's a pretty high number. Moving on to staff, the number was at 33%. Felt like some staff and students do not exhibit school pride. And then the last number was 55% of the students believe that students and staff are not proud of our school. So that was a small sampling size from, again, it was over 100 parents, that was about 90 staff members, and it was around 700 students. And that was offered from 7th grade to 12th grade students when we surveyed that. Now, again, Some of these can be easily explained by our situation, but you need a baseline to start from. And if we're talking about school culture, obviously we would like 100% of our parents, faculty, staff, and students to feel pride in their school. So the goal going in, establish a positive school climate. You're going to see a lot of that. You've heard a lot of that already. How do we do that? Decrease problem behaviors, increase safety, and increase student academic performance through a research-based strategy. And again, the vision is the same. I talked a little bit about the vision, bringing in a small sample size with the 7th grade this year, and then expanding it to the junior high school next year with the 7th and 8th grade, and then moving cross-district over time. Again, a little repetitive, but it's focused on social culture and being proactive. This is really one of the best slides right here. You want your climate to be predictable. Common language is one of the key focuses that we worked on a lot over the summer. Every area in the building is identified with a location and the expectations of the students. That is a big piece of the framework of PBIS, and that was one of the things that we worked on. Common vision, common experience. Again, school environment is positive, regular recognition for positive behavior. One of the things you hear a lot is some of the quieter students don't always get recognized. Well, part of this program is to incentivize the students that make good choices. So throughout the building, on a weekly basis, obviously depending on the schedule, but on a weekly basis, we'll have a target area. It might be the bus behavior. So every day at the end of the day, we jump on the buses, we make sure that the students are following the proper procedures, and we reward students with tickets to incentivize them for following proper procedures. On a weekly basis, we've been rewarding those students that in the lunchroom with by pulling tickets. The food services has donated food to students, so students are winning free snacks from the cafeteria. Wawa was a huge supporter this year. They gave away free hoagies, free soft drinks, free breakfasts. I think even some of their pictures ended up in Wawa. Mr. Shore, I believe that was delivered recently, right? So formed some nice partnerships within the community as well. The other two there, school environment to be safe. Obviously, the more decrease in disruptive behaviors, the safer your environment is going to be. And then school environment is consistent. Adults use similar expectations. And that's another one that I think is a big piece of this. You might hear this from students, oh, in one class, the expectation is this, and another teacher might say this. Well, you're always going to have that, but if the school is operating under the same framework and we're teaching the same strategies, it helps decrease some of those issues. I believe there's 2 more slides. So just a quick overview. We talked about already over the summer, we identified our core values, the location expectations, and throughout the school year we had multiple meetings where we created subcommittees for data collection, rewards, contests, lesson plans. The teachers actually conduct weekly lesson plans. It rotates through all the classes. So if you're a math teacher, you might only have to present the lesson once every 4 weeks. And your role might be to present on bathroom behavior. And the teachers came up with some really neat ways to present. The lessons are only about 5 minutes long, so one of the complaints in the past is we have all these things that we have to do, but a short lesson is not too much to ask of teachers. And actually, once you're setting that foundation for those behaviors, you start to see some of those decreases in behaviors and following the school expectations. So the last 2 slides, these are just examples of what we have within the building. These are the core values that the committee identified over the summer. Be respectful, be responsible, demonstrate tolerance to others, and demonstrate integrity. That's everything that we focus on when we try and redirect students. And then here's one example of one of the locations. I mentioned bus earlier. We have these posted throughout the building. If a student is misbehaving, Here's the common language that all adults can use when directing a student. We have these for cafeteria, hallways, classroom, offices, when they go to the nurse's office, the main office. So there's a lot that goes into this, but I feel like this first year has been a really positive step in the right direction, and I definitely look forward to moving forward with the program. Any questions? It is a lot of information. Even the survey information that I started with, all that stuff, it was publicized in newsletters. If anybody wants to see them, I'll be more than happy to share. But going forward, I have no problem presenting it as many times as you like, especially more in depth with the topic.
Thank you very much, Mr. Denny.
Thank you.
What is it? Right. Guess we're gonna need this again. We have a special education update, so Erin?
Good evening. I'm Erin Lipton-Mulner, for those of you who I have not met yet. I am the newly appointed Shared Director of Special Services at Pinelands. And I'm just going to briefly go over some of the things that I have experienced over the past couple weeks and what my vision is moving forward for the next school year. So really my focus over the past few weeks has been to gather information, and I really think that that's going to be something that carries over maybe for many years to come. I really like to get as much information as possible when I'm meeting new people, sitting in on meetings, building some relationships and things like that. So I just listed on some of these slides various things that I've done, that I continue to do. I really have worked closely with a lot of staff members. Mr. Hand has worked closely with me. I've certainly, reviewed a lot of the information that he found and really worked with administrators, parents, staff, and students to see what's going on in the district in the area of special education, and also in other areas that can directly impact special education. So lots of meetings, lots of touching base. I do have a daily presence in the district, and if sometimes I'll be in the district and I will run back to Little Lake Harbor and get a phone call, can you come back? And I come back. So I know that there was a really big concern about that. I'm not going to say that my days are not very busy, but it's been very fun so far, and I've been able to get back and forth in all the buildings pretty much every single day. One of the main focuses that I've had has been to really build some relationships with our child study team members and get to know them better and see what their strengths are, what their needs are, where they feel that there's areas that they need to improve on, and how we can really enhance our programs for our students. One of the things that I've already started to do, I've held specialist meetings. So when I say that, I've held individual meetings with the learning consultants, with the school psychologists, with the social workers, with the speech and language therapists, just to really get in their area of expertise and see what they're working on. They're really our district experts in those areas, and I want to really pick their brains and see what's going on with them and how I can help them and support them. We have monthly team meetings. I really go through a lot of individual cases with case managers, team members, and parents also. I really have been digging into IEPs and evaluations and reviewing a lot of information. Our secretaries are our most invaluable resource, and I've worked very closely with them to get a little bit of my finger on the pulse of what's going on. And I'm going to continue to review all of those things with the team. So moving forward, I really have 3 areas of focus for next year. And we're already starting this and really in the works. We're looking at, first and foremost, we're going to be getting on course for special education. So currently our district is using Easy IEP. And it's a fine program, but I think for us, our district uses OnCourse for everything else for our student database, and it's just going to be really a one-stop shop. So we're going to be able to have parents have easier access to the information that they really need. And I know one of the biggest concerns with our parents were progress reporting. OnCourse automatically has progress reports built into their IEPs, and I will work closely one-on-one with the OnCourse representatives to make our documents look the way that we want them to look. And we did this in Little Lake Harbor, and it was really beneficial to everyone involved so that our IEPs really give a personal snapshot of what our students need, and progress reporting is one of those really crucial areas. And the parents will have access to that multiple times a year with their report cards. The other piece that's really important that goes with our second piece with compliance, we're going to be able to start from scratch and really provide very intensive training to our staff on how to write IEPs so that we can take our individual students, look at their needs, and develop IEPs, which is an individualized education plan that really meets that individual student's needs. Instead of, sometimes we see some cut and paste or, very generic statements. I really want those IEPs to be telling the story of our students. The second thing is ensuring compliance. There's so much up here. But the bottom line is, we do have a law that we need to follow, and sometimes it can get away from us, and I really just want to make sure that we're doing a lot of training with, I'll be doing training with the child study teams and also with the teachers directly, basically breaking down all the pieces of the law to make sure that we're doing right by our students and that we're really following the rules and doing what we need to do. And that really goes into those meetings and reviewing cases and problem solving. Special education is a very complex area, and pretty much there is never a similar problem that's presented. So it's really about problem solving and making sure that we're in compliance with all the areas that we need to follow. And finally, just enhancing the programs. I know that there's been a lot of concern that has come my way about big changes that are coming or big cuts that are coming. And, I really don't see cuts or changes. I see enhancements. I really see that we have great programs here. Our behavioral disabilities program, our autism program, those are two very unique programs to our district, and we're very lucky to have them. And my goal is to work with the staff to enhance those programs. We're going to open up a second autism classroom next year. I'm already working really closely with our behavior disabilities teachers and the case manager to come up with really productive ways for our students to become productive citizens that can contribute to our community and really prepare our students for graduation and post-graduation. So those are the things that I am going to work on. This is my contact information. You can feel free to contact me anytime. I really welcome feedback. I welcome constructive feedback. So please don't hesitate to reach out if you have questions or you hear some sort of a crazy rumor, and you can always ask me directly and I will try to answer any question that I can. So you guys, does the board have any questions for me? No? Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Very well done. Do we have our student representatives here tonight? You are the student representative?
Oh, it's like 3 a.m. lights. Woo. All right. I'm one of the 7th grade students. Our student council, he just emailed me and said he wasn't feeling well, so you can come. So I'll read them to you. We have a lot on the agenda here, so I'm going to try to go quick. So our 7th grade PBSIS team would like to thank Wawa. They really were a great supporter of our program this year, and Mr. Shore, as well as Mr. Mosky, made them posters because they really have expressed an interest of having their own little Pinelands corner within the Wawa. And I actually talked to Anthony, who is he's got my digits, so we've been going back and forth about getting some more things to the school for different programs. The 8th graders are going to their Washington DC trip on June 6th, so they're both really excited about that. They're going to visit National Archives and various museums. The PTSO is holding a 6-7 dance, which that's my next blurb. Also, Service Learning Day is this Friday. Students will be involved in extracurricular activities. Will have the opportunity to go off campus to various locations within the community. Our goal is to beautify painting different places and weeding and gardening and whatnot throughout the community. It's a big event and the kids really do love it. And we do have an end of the year or post celebration on May 23rd at 6 p.m. here in the junior high cafeteria. A big shout out to the Faculty Council who met and went over all of our newest Junior National Honor Society members. So Mrs. Constantino would like to thank Mrs. DeSimone, Mrs. Coleman, Mr. Ardman, Mrs. Tierney, Mrs. Levins, Mrs. Sprague, myself, for working for that. The inductions are going to be May 30th. She invites all of you to come at the junior high cafeteria at 6 p.m. What else? I'm trying to, oh, and also they'll be doing flags on May 18th for Memorial Day, setting up flags in the local cemeteries, so that's important that she's doing. Also, the junior high math and pride students are collecting items for care packages. As we know, some of you may or may not know, one of our, Mrs. Colello is over serving, so they did we've been doing a lot of stuff for her through this year, and they sent some packages over to her and the troops. The computer club raised money again this year to purchase computers for students throughout the junior high school. The students were recommended by staff and guidance counselors, and Viking Yachts helped the computer club by contributing a worthy cause. So thank you to Viking Village. Also, Wildcats in Action and the Junior Honor Society come together, raise money and supplies, again, to go to Captain Colello. The 8th grade is planning their 8th grade field day, which is on May 24th. And then also our 9th graders are having our semi-formal on June 6th from 6 to 10. So if anybody wants to come, just let me know. And since I'm standing here and I'm PTSO president, thank you for a great year. We did have our last meeting last night, and a lot of discussion that we had was pretty much how we can get our parents coming to the meetings. We are going live and we're getting a lot of great views. So we are going to put a Google form out to the staff, the students, as well as the community to find a good time that would meet everybody's expectations. And we don't necessarily have a problem doing several meetings. We can do a staff meeting, and then we can, go roll into a meeting later on in the evening. So we're really trying to involve that. And we also talked about incentives. As far as what we can do to maybe, do a little ticket where students that are members, they get a discount somewhere within the school. So we really are working to involve our community even more and to make some positive community events. This Saturday, we're also having our yard sale here at the junior high that was postponed because of the rain. So we're having that here. Mr. Kofer is going to be DJing for us, so that's exciting. So it's going to be a beautiful day, so please come out and support that cause. Also, this year we did do $500 scholarships, so that's awesome for us. We also got our website up and running. It's May, so it's good, better than late than ever. It is basically our acronym, which is very long, PRSD, PTSO.org. On that website, we do have our credit card capabilities, so you can actually sign up there through a credit card and do memberships, and eventually we'll have annual memberships where you get a little email and a reminder saying, hey, your membership's up, come join the PTSO. And really that's about it. So have a great summer, because I won't see you. I can talk at June meeting, but there's not much to say. We are going to try to meet again over the summer and set our calendar and our agenda up for the year, and also invite all of our sending districts. So if any of the sending districts, PTSOs or PTOs, are out there, we would like to congregate and come together so that we're all on the same page. Okay? Any questions,
Yes,
comments,
thank you
concerns?
again.
Thank
Michelle.
you. You're welcome. Have a great summer.
We have our students of the month who have been waiting patiently. Mr. Shore.
Come on. Good evening, Dr. McCooley, members of the board, family, friends, our students of the month. First and foremost, I would like to congratulate not only the junior high school, but the high school students of the month. And on behalf of our wonderful staff, Dr. Clark and Mr. Denning, it is my pleasure once again to present to you our junior high school students of the month for April. And first up, we will start with grade 7. And Ava Slinchak is our 7th grade student of the month. And this is a little blurb about what Miss Nooner said about Ava. I met Ava this year as a member of our SAD club. Ava did a great job in presenting at our Red Ribbon 6th grade school visits. She was friendly to all students and was a leader in the group. Ava is organized, friendly, and a great leader. I think Ava is a perfect example of a Pinelands student of the month, and once again, that was written by Miss Nooner, and it is my pleasure to introduce to you Ava Slinchak, our 7th grade student of the month.
Congratulations.
Okay, moving on to 8th grade. Jaden Thomas is our grade 8 student of the month, and here is a little blurb from Mrs. Junowitz. Honorable, insightful, and intelligent. Jaden Thompson is all of these things and more. Right from the beginning of the school year, it was apparent Jaden is something special. She has a determination to excel and thinks outside the box to problem solve. It is fun for me to ask higher level thinking questions and watch her contemplate the answers. Then there are those times in class when she asks questions so advanced, I'm amazed at her abilities. And that was written by Miss Junowitz, and again, it is my pleasure, Jaden Thompson, our grade 8 student of the month. Come on up, Jaden.
Congratulations.
Sophia LaPiccolo, I don't think was able to make it. Sophia, you're not here, right? Okay, I don't want to jump the gun on that one. So, Mrs. Rosner wrote this about Sophia. Sophia's good nature and desire to learn will surely help her in her remaining years of high school, as well as with whatever path she chooses to follow after high school. I'm extremely proud and honored to have had Sophia as a student, and I can't wait to see her where the future takes her. And that was written by Miss Rosner, and we will make sure that Miss LaPiccolo gets hers. But Sophia LaPiccolo, a grade 9 student of the month. Congratulations to all. I do want to say on the back of the wonderful little blurb that our teachers wrote, and thank you to our junior high school staff for taking time out of the day to do that. Students in the month, you do have a free item for the cafeteria, so feel free to use that whenever. And just one other thing while I have the mic, I promise I won't be too long. I do want to thank Mr. Denning and our Frog Pond staff. I know it's been a challenging year for them over the year, but the small snippet of you saw the PBIS, they have done a fantastic job, and we are excited to bring that back to the junior high school year. One of the things we have already started talking with our 6th grade students, our incoming 7th graders next year, and we have a unique situation, is that we'll have 2 grade levels that have never been in this building, so it's almost like a reboot for us. So that common language that he talked about, we're starting to talk to our 6th grader about that. We're talking about our character education, we're talking about our PBIS. So that was just a small snippet, and they have done an amazing job and a lot of hard work, and that's across, that's administration, that's teachers, that's guidance counselors, that's support staff. So great job, nice presentation, Mr. Denning, and hopefully moving forward, that is the future. So thank you for your time. Congratulations to all once again, and I will turn the mic over to Mr. Molesky. Mr. Molesky?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I am very honored to introduce to you tonight our high school students of the month, and I'd like to begin by introducing Kennedy Heinrichs. Kennedy Heinrichs, please come on up. Where are you, Kennedy? There she is. I'll embarrass you a little bit. I understand. Some nice things about you. So, what do Ms. Heinrich's teachers have to say about her? Kennedy's teachers say that she is amazingly talented, diligent, kind, committed to her own academic growth, and is well respected by her peers. Mr. Bradley writes, Kennedy is a young lady who is quiet in many ways, but her actions resonate maturity, responsibility, empathy, and respect for others. She is a conscientious and diligent student who executes assignments and projects with care. She is a model citizen who demonstrates courtesy and concern for those around her. I am glad to have had the opportunity to work with her. Kennedy, congratulations. Our 11th grade student of the month is Adrian Dykeman. Adrian? Adrian's teachers share this with us. They say she is a terrific student, a leader in the classroom, hardworking, motivated, and a well-rounded student. Mrs. Sobiek writes, Adrian is one of those students that you remember forever. She not only is hardworking and bright, she is also a good person inside. I feel lucky to have had the opportunity to get to know her as both a student in my class and the amazing young woman she is becoming. She is fun to be around and truly helps to make our class extra special. She is a talented athlete and strong student and has wonderful character. I know I will miss her next year when she is a senior. I believe she is a perfect representative for what it means to be a Wildcat. I can think of no better choice for April Student of the Month. Congratulations. And last but not least, I'd like to introduce our 12th grade Student of the Month, Joel Lucas. Joel, come on up. Congratulations, Joel. Joel is described by his teachers as hardworking, and a goal-oriented person who takes his job and responsibilities seriously. Mr. Levin writes, Joel has done a great job with my 8th graders this year in regards to helping those students that need additional help in their labs. He did a great job while I was away during senior trip in Disney World with handing out and collecting assignments in my 8th grade class, as well as helping those students that needed additional help with their classwork. Over the last 3 years, Joel has proven to be, in regards to the students, the best cook in the school. He has given himself a very good basic foundation in culinary arts if he chooses to go to culinary school. Congratulations, Joel. And thank you very much.
You have no updates or anything?
Nothing to share, no. Were you looking for my digits perhaps, or?
Yes. Okay, we're gonna take a brief recess in case parents wish to leave. Is that word?
No, it's on that. It's on, you want to do it? I want it to quiet the room. It's the old one. It's the old system. It's the one we replaced with the old keypad that I sold to this. So those will be wired out, but they're not addressing. The wire one is, oh, because we have a spare one, that's okay. Yeah, like a spare one. Quorum.
Do you have a copy of that, what you were showing before?
Which one?
The first one in your report.
The strategic plan, you want the big one or the? It's not important, you can take that.
Yes. Yes. That's pretty cool. Yeah. Where's it? Loves it, yeah. It's really pretty long.
It is, it's fun covering.
Yeah, it's really nice. Yeah, it's nice. And what's he going for? I think. He's not overwhelmed. Good.
Good job.
Good. Good.
All credit to him.
Yeah.
But now he loves his money. Yeah. Yeah, I did see it.
Are we all here? Okay. Thank you, everyone. Moving on to moving on to item number 9, work session, board forum. Normally used if there are any additional agenda items, etc., that you have questions or comments on. Anybody have anything they would like to bring up?
Mr. Jennings' presentation that dealt with Wildcat Pride and our strategic plan that deals with Wildcat Pride. I just want to indicate another source of Wildcat Pride in the May 6th Asbury Park Press. They had a listing from the U.S. News and World Report ranking the schools in New Jersey, and they also ranked them in the county. Pinelands is still ranked by U.S. News and World Report in the top half of the schools in New Jersey, and in the 16 schools in Ocean County, our rank is Pride here, come on. Our rank is 3. That goes from Point Pleasant to here. Point Pleasant Beach is 1, Point Pleasant Borough is 2, and we're number 3 before the Brick schools, the Toms River schools, and all the other schools in between. A source of pride that I'm not even sure people are aware of. So now you are.
Thank you, Stephen. That was very nice.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay, moving then on to item number 2 there. Board business. Item number 1, student activities and information. We had a request given to Dr. McCooley to kind of give us a feel for things like prom, junior prom, senior prom,
Okay.
etc.
All right, so I was confused, so they're all the same thing
Yes.
encompassed there, all right, good. So with the project graduation, a survey did go out for interest, and this isn't those that are gonna sign up and actually go, but the interest survey prior to signing the contract, there was 111 students that had interest in attending. So it may be more than that, I don't know if we had a final number of who was actually paid to attend it yet. But the other thing that we did make sure, we sent a letter home to parents because we found out after the fact that if it rains the day of graduation and graduation is postponed to the following day, we are not, we were told that we had rain dates of Tuesday and Wednesday, and now we don't. So project graduation would take place that Monday, and then graduation would take place either Tuesday or Wednesday. So we made sure that parents were informed of that, so they had that knowledge in advance. In regards to, I know Mr. Kubricki had asked about some of the trips and some of the activities. So I did get some information. In 2018, 264 students, 248 students attended the senior prom, which was 94%. Obviously, the senior prom didn't happen yet this year, so I don't have that information. The senior trip this year, 148 students attended out of 270, so it's about 55%. I know Mr. Kubricki asked me about the cost as well. And the cost for the senior trip, hang on one second, was $1475. And that included 5 nights in Disney, round-trip transportation, 4-day Disney World Passport Premiere with a park hopper, 4 counter service meals, continental breakfast, water and snacks throughout the day, refillable drink mug, pizza party one evening, a t-shirt, and a souvenir photo.
And do we still for the senior trip, do we still offer fundraising opportunities
They-
for the
yes,
students?
they do.
I know that it used to start actually like
In-
sophomore or junior
yes.
year, they could start banking some
Absolutely.
funds to
Yep.
help with that.
You're exactly right.
They still do that?
Yes. And then the junior prom this year, we had 208 students attend out of 229. I think I covered everything. The other thing that you had asked for, Ms. Ernst, was an update on homebound information.
I had, yes.
Okay, so, I did get some information from, Ms. Kenny, and she has since for this year updated the current homebound procedures. And she is requiring that they give the dates of instruction, the location that they're at, the subject taught, start time and end time, and then that is signed off by this instructor, the parent, and the parent, excuse me. And then for next year, she is refining that process a little bit more. But for for this current school year, she's just making sure that we have all the information that we need and we're documenting that correctly.
Okay, I appreciate that, thank you
No
very
problem,
much.
and I think that's everything.
I had one question in regards to project graduation. Did we ever determine whether or not the students have raised enough money and that it will in fact be no cost to the board?
Yes, it's coming out of the student activity fund.
Thank you.
Yep.
Perfect.
Any other questions under new business? Nope. Okay, then I am going to open it up to residents forum. This is for agenda items only. We have a 20-minute, what time is that? I can't see it, 20-minute time limit, and it would be 3 minutes per speaker. Amy, could you keep track of that, please? Amy, you want to talk to us? Come on up. Just state your name and
Hi. My name's Elizabeth Saunders. I'm a teacher at Frog Pond Elementary School. I've worked there for 15 years, and Troy Henderson has been my principal for about 10 of them, 10. And he is just the greatest principal I've worked for. I've been a teacher for over 20 years, and he is a great guy. He never micromanages. He always encourages us to problem solve, and he is so good to all the kids. I really don't even want to work for anybody else, but the only reason that I'm not totally crushed is that my husband is a social studies teacher at Pinelands, and I think that every day when we have coffee, I say, you are going to love working for Troy. He's a great guy, he's a great principal, and I think all of you will love him as well. So thanks.
thank you very much.
My name is Jennifer Hansen. I'm also a teacher at the Frog Pond Elementary School, pretty much the same as Liz. He has been my principal for about the past 10 years. He has an amazing open door policy that makes the staff feel really welcome and heard. He does a great job of multitasking, and right now he's the only principal in the building, and teachers are needy, and we need a lot of things, and he is able to accommodate us, and he remembers conversations that we have. Literally just today, yesterday, I happened to tell him in passing that the drama club performance was tomorrow, and we weren't quite ready, and I was so nervous, and he was like, oh, well, I'll get you and Janine Palumbo coverage, and he remembered and did, and we were able to have the afternoon to work with our drama club kids and get them ready, which was helpful for them even more than us because they were so nervous. So he just does stuff like that all around the school, all the time, and it's just so comfortable to work there and safe. I actually left for 4 years. I went to Texas and I worked under another principal, and I honestly was miserable, and I couldn't wait to get back. And I was like, I just want to go back to the Frog Pond School, and I want to work for Troy again. And luckily, I was able to do that, and I was very grateful. So Pinelands is very lucky to have him, and we will miss him greatly.
Thank you, both of you. Would anybody else like to speak?
Mr. Henderson is currently a principal of one of my children over at Little Egg, but I do ask the board,
Can I have your name, please?
Mary Ellen Zabalita. I ask that the board table the new hire and proposed that maybe one of our assistant principals be promoted and save the salary, since we're in dire straits financially.
Thank you, Mary Ellen.
Thank you.
Anybody else wish to speak on agenda items?
My name is Matt Hudak. I wish to speak on behalf of Mr. Henderson, or not on behalf of. My students have been in Frog Pond School from kindergarten, or first grade, all through, they're now sixth graders. And Mr. Henderson has always been open with us, always handled problems that, what few we had, with ease, always were able to communicate with them directly about any issues we may or may not have had. So I'm just here to support Mr. Henderson for principal. I think it would be a benefit to the high school if he were to be principal of the high school.
Thank you, sir. Anybody else wish to speak? We have another gentleman.
James Pastorak. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for the opportunity to speak. I'm here because, as usual, Facebook has a lot of chatter and clutter and a bunch of accusations by a whole bunch of people that have Facebook muscles. They always seem to complain about everything. And I really wish people, instead of fighting and constant problems, that they would give solutions to the board to help our children progress and make our school the best school that it could possibly be. I have a senior next year, an 8th grader in this school, and I know Mr. Henderson, and he is a fine principal. I think personally that new eyes in the school is a good way to go. Now I've heard, back and forth about people may vote yes, may vote no, whatever the case may be, but you also took the time to appoint Dr. McCooley as your superintendent. And I would hope that the reason that you appointed her is because you trusted her and her decisions. And she has obviously requested Mr. Henderson. And in my opinion, a no vote for Mr. Henderson is a no vote to support your superintendent. And I personally think that Mr. Henderson will be an excellent fit for our school system. Now, this thing about the bathrooms being locked, I think we really need to come up with a solution to open the bathrooms, because the kids got to use the bathrooms one way or the other. I'm not sure what the answer to that is. The vandalism, I'd like to know a little bit more about. I don't want to blindside anybody on this board. I don't want to come up and do a gotcha thing. I have a few suggestions that I will submit to the superintendent for her review. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you very much. Anybody else wish to speak? No? Okay, thank you very much. We're going to move on to our committee reports. I am asking for a motion under A, instructional, for items 1 through 7. Do I have a motion?
Motion. Second.
Any discussion? Mr. Kubricki?
Yes, with respect to item number 7, comprehensive equity plan, there are some legal issues about ensuring compliance that I wanted to bring up in executive session, but we did not have the time. So I would request of the board to postpone a vote on that until after our second executive session. I know we have to get it in by June 14th, so we can't wait to the June meeting. But I think it's important to discuss those legal issues that need to be discussed before we vote on item number 7.
I'm gonna ask Amy, and I guess maybe I don't understand, like, legal issues, so it would have something to do with, it would have to be done in an executive session?
That's correct.
Okay, I'm gonna pull the board on whether they want to postpone this until our second executive session, which again is gonna be problematic. I don't know if the audience wants to wait around, I mean, is that,
So that
it has to be done tonight.
with the executive section that we already had planned, but we would have to come out and
We
take
would
action on
include
that.
this, which means that our attorney would have to stay, obviously. Melissa and Nick would have to stay for that portion of it. And then, of course, once we get through that and move into the superintendent's evaluation, they could leave. So, again, I don't know if the rest of the board had issues, I don't know what you wanna do. So I need to hear from the rest of the board as to how you want this handled, if you wanna move it to executive session and then come out and vote afterwards.
Can you address
Or if
that?
you're comfortable voting on it, then we'll vote. I'm sorry, Betty Ann.
Is there any, do you have any legal concerns as our attorney in us voting on this as it is?
So I'm unsure as to what Mr. Kubricki's concern is. Every year you get a template that you work with from the Department of Education for the comprehensive equity plan. You can see that even in the wording of it when it talks about school districts, including charter schools and Renaissance. So you can see that it's not something that we start with. It's a document that we use, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong, Dr. McCooley?
Absolutely, and I believe Ms. Kenny is here. If you have any questions, she is the, leading that. We did have other administrators, as you can see from the sign-off sheet, that were on that committee. But the template does come from the state each year. They review it, and it's up for approval. I'm not certain of what if the concerns are the actual document or our implementation of it.
So the document is a state document, so is your concern the document itself or what was put into the
No,
document?
it's not the document itself, it's compliance issues that have a legal implication.
Then I would suggest if it's not the document itself, and the document itself is something that we're required to approve, that we could do one of two things. You could either approve it, and then we could either discuss it as second executive, or we could discuss, we could discuss with the board president and Dr. McCooley what those specific concerns are. And Dr. McCooley, can boards revise this document and resubmit to the county?
Once it's submitted, I don't know if it's a working document. Karen, have you ever made adjustments to it after you submitted it?
Yeah, once you submit it, then each year you do the statement of assurance, so if you need to make any adjustments for that next year.
It would be the
you can add
following
some
year.
things then.
Right.
You put in like, this is my 3-year plan of what we're doing.
And I think that's another point to be made, that the county has always approved it as we are submitting it. So this isn't a concern that the county has had either. So I think maybe what Mr. Kubricki, I don't want to speak for you, but more of it's the implementation of it, and we can always have a discussion about that. So it's not the actual document you're concerned with.
I think it's compliant issues, and the state usually does audits on a certain number of school districts, but generally the document is submitted and generally not investigated very thoroughly, except for those institutions which they decide to audit. If the board decides to pass this without a discussion of the legal issues in executive session, I'm gonna feel compelled to notify the Commissioner of Education and the Assistant Commissioner that I think there is a major non-compliance issue problem with the submission of our document. So it's up to the board whether they want me to do that or not.
We already have another executive session planned. I
Yep.
mean, quite honestly, I would like to hear their concerns.
Christie?
And I don't like being blackmailed, but I can have concerns.
We could always do the second executive. You could have the people that need to stay for that, and then you could go ahead and do the piece you need to do, excuse us, and finish on with what you need to do.
So, assuming that the questions are answered in executive session, then when we come back out of executive session, this would have to be voted on, correct?
Correct, unless you wanted to do 3 executive sessions and do one, resolve the issue if the issue is resolvable, vote, and then go back in for, yes.
Is that good with everybody?
I would
Would be at the
say,
end.
It would be at the end.
President Ernst, that we have a discussion, hopefully put it to ease, come back out, vote, and then before we go into the next executive, so we could excuse the people that don't.
At the end, right, you're saying at the end?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I get a clarification?
But I'd like to hear,
And maybe Karen, you can help with this too. This is a 3-year plan, correct? And that if something has to be changed, corrected, amended, it's then done on the statement of assurance, which I believe we approve in November, correct?
September.
October.
October, November? Okay. So if there's something that's not compliant, the state would pick up on that, I'm assuming, correct? Correct?
Right, it goes to the county.
It goes to the county, okay. And then we would have the amount of time from now until October for the statement of assurance to correct whatever it is that they find that we are not in compliance with. Correct?
Correct.
Potentially not compliant. Do you want to do a straw poll of the board to see who would like to do that second executive before the third executive?
I wanted to bring it.
I think we can make it quick, so yes.
To the end.
Yes. You're voting, just to be clear,
We're not, you're actually voting.
We're
You're
just
doing a straw
voting
poll.
as to whether we want
on whether or not another.
The second
Let's hear it.
the
executive.
second executive and then the
And then the
third.
third will leave for, okay.
Yes.
So again,
Okay.
I don't like to be
Good.
blackmailed, but yes.
Are you good?
Stephen, you good?
Yeah.
Obviously, yes. Jeff?
Yes.
Karen?
Yes, with reservation.
Christie?
If we must.
If we must.
All right.
Okay.
All right, beans, we're,
So we're tabling
Tabling
We are tabling 7.
until executive.
Do I have to make a motion to have a table?
Or will the 2 people who made the original motion amend their motion to have that?
Okay, so, it was Pat and Christie, I think.
Okay,
So would you please amend the motion to read that we are approving items A1 through A6 and that item number 7 will be discussed in,
Will be discussed, will be voted upon.
will be voted upon after the second
Possibly.
executive session.
Possibly.
Would you amend, Pat? Yes.
Yes,
Christie?
with reservation.
Okay, now, any other discussion on any items? Yes, Mr. Williams.
yes, on item number 6, on instructional, I would like to state that again, I'm requesting to know, because it says throughout the strategic plan, one-on-one devices, and no fault of our current administration here, been asked for years, how many we've purchased and how many we have.
Okay, so is your discussion a request that we have an inventory of how many we have that can be used as one-on-one, and therefore deciding what we would need? Is that what you're
Yeah.
asking me?
Yeah, because if we're approving the plan, we're approving the fact that we want to go to a one-on-one device, and there would be a cost associated with that. And if we had the information as to how many we have, then we would know what the financial obligation would be for achieving that.
So it was a one-on-one, I think if I saw and read correctly, by 2022.
Yes.
Yep.
We have time to implement, but I think what you're saying is what is our starting point and what's the gap?
Yeah, we can get that.
Yeah,
I think
technology does
James
a
already
great
has
job
that,
of
yeah.
keeping an inventory of all our
Yeah.
stuff, so I think they'll have that
No problem.
information available for us.
Is that good?
Yes, ma'am.
Any other discussion? Okay, Mr. Brown,
All
roll
right,
call.
Mr. Bonnicky,
Yes.
Ms. Chambers?
Yes.
Ms. Ernst?
Yes.
Ms. Hannadel?
Yes.
Mr. Kubricki?
Yes.
Mrs. McVeigh?
Yes.
Ms. Palladino?
Yes.
Ms. Papakua?
Yes, and thank you to those scholarship donors.
And Ms. Williams?
Yes on all but A3, no,
A3.
3. Yep.
Okay, motion carries.
Moving on to B, personnel. I would ask for a motion for items number 1 through, this is long, 12. No, 13. No. Somebody help me out here.
12.
Oh, I'm sorry, yeah.
12.
It's items 1 through 12.
Well,
Motion?
So made.
Second.
Discussion?
Yes, on item 9, and actually all the substitute rates, I know there's been issues in the past regarding coverages. Is this something that maybe we need to take a look at in the future, before the next school year? And
So-
maybe be more in line with our surrounding districts?
We absolutely can, and actually, I know Madge Rosenberg has all this information in a chart because she had reached out to the people in her consortium when we adjusted our rates in Little Egg.
Okay,
So I can definitely provide that to the board, so you can see the
Great.
comparison.
all right, that would be great. Can I ask another
Are we
question?
gonna do that later? Is that what you're saying?
You could always adjust them if you wanted to.
Okay, so
Yeah.
if we decide later.
Oh, right.
Should be
Okay.
over the summer.
Yeah.
Can I ask what Little Egg pays? Is that, no, that's
Is
not.
it-
Ugh.
Well, no, it's public information because it was
Right now.
approved. I don't wanna give you the wrong, is it,
I
are we
wanna
at?
say we upped it to 95 based on
Is
the
that-
information.
And then if they
Is that-
take a course, they get a little bit more to like
Okay.
a substitute course.
I think you'll see from Ms. Rosenberg's data that a lot of schools struggled with filling substitute vacancies,
Mhm.
and they addressed that by upping the substitute rate, so we were in Little Egg drastically out of line,
Yeah.
and made an adjustment this year to all of our sub rates.
And how about the long-term
It
substitutes?
was another, we actually left that alone and then had to adjust it later,
Okay.
and we addressed it with, I don't remember the exact number that we used, but we used, on Miss Rosenberg, a lot of schools are using the step 1 as your base if they're
Right.
long-term
Oh,
with some kind of benefits qualification, so
Okay.
there's,
Right.
it's a very competitive space for subs
Could we
right now.
have a review maybe in July?
Yeah.
To make sure if we're gonna make decisions, we're in line for September.
Is there any others besides the substitute teaching positions that seem to be an issue with coverage? Have we had in this past year that you know of? Athletic trainer, maintenance, nurse, clerical, custodian?
No, but this year's kind of an anomaly here because
Yes,
we
I
only
realize
have the
that.
one building
Okay.
and so, but I'll get the information and we can do a comparison.
Thank you.
Any other discussion?
item number 10, summer work hours. How, is there a spelled out, I haven't seen it, a spelled out plan or anything? Because when they have practices,
So they're staggered, so there's, as I put in the Q&A, someone is always here Monday through Saturday. So one of the workers may be Monday through Thursday, and then the other one's Tuesday, like that. They're staggered.
alls I was, so we have the coverage for
Sure.
all the events
Yes.
that go on during the summer. I didn't see
That's
that
all
part.
right, yep. I asked
But,
John the same question.
Then, I think that there's equity in what we're doing then, because they were here 5 days, and everybody else was only 4 to begin with.
Yeah, it's good.
So I agree.
Any other questions?
I have spoken my piece in executive session.
You have, and thank you. Anything else? Okay.
All right, roll call, Mr. Bonnicky.
No on B2B and B6, and yes on everything else.
Okay, Mr. Kubricki?
Yes.
Mrs. McVeigh?
Yes.
Mr. Williams?
Yes, B, 2B, abstain, all the rest, yes.
Okay, Ms. Palladino?
Yes.
Ms. Papakua?
Yes, with the exception of item 12. I will abstain.
Okay. Ms. Hamdell?
Yes.
Ms. Chambers?
Yes.
Ms. Ernst?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Moving on to C, the report of the board secretary and the business administrator. I would like a motion to approve items number 1 through 13.
So made.
Second?
Discussion?
Nick, I just wanted to bring up with regard to, hold on, item 7, the budget. I don't know, did you need to, I'm sorry, let me start over. Item 7 with regard to the budget, when you made your presentation last time, I had asked you to follow up specific to the Eagleswood slide where the valuations I thought didn't seem right. You had verified that the portion of the Eagleswood budget doesn't change, but the estimated impact per household was overstated. And that
Yes,
is
that's correct.
expected to
So when we prepared the budget documents, we used the assessed values that the DOE provided in their apportionment formula. So the actual assessed values, because the DOE normalizes that data, may be slightly different. So we looked at Eagleswood's actual net value taxable, the impact was reduced. It wasn't $86 a year, it was an impact of $66 a year for the average homeowner. And so there can be some fluctuation in the assessed values on what the DOE gives us based on what the town has. So it doesn't change the school's budget, and it doesn't change the value of your home is what's gonna determine the tax rate. But yes, I did update those slides for you, but I did not send them to the board, but I will distribute them for everybody.
But I know that I brought that up during public session last
Mhm.
time, and we did follow up and address that, so thank you.
No problem. Any other
Anything else? Mr. Kubricki, you had a question?
Item number 11, internal control training and the exhibit.
Mhm.
I know that the audit has recommended that we tighten up our internal control training, internal controls for student activity fund. I looked at the exhibit number 12 in terms of what that professional service would provide to us. It indicated that there would be a PowerPoint presentation that they would develop, and then at least 2 presentations to those who involved in administering those funds. If you Google on internal control for student funds, you will find a PowerPoint presentation of 36 slides that already does that quite well. You will find a PDF document that explains the process thoroughly. It seems like to spend our money in terms of this professional services when there are already resources here is not utilizing funds it's not utilizing funds to the best that we could. So I am not in favor of this item because I think this stuff is all out there that we can use without spending the funds.
And I'd just like to point out that the corrective action plan that the board approved after the audit was completed outlined specifically that the board would hire an outside firm to provide this training. So I don't disagree that information is available online that we could disseminate to the staff. However, we've already approved a corrective action plan as part of the audit and submitted that to the county that said we would provide this training through a third party.
I wasn't aware of that. Thank you for making me aware of that.
Yeah, no problem.
So I do recall that this was part of the audit, and actually when our auditor spoke, he noted that he had some recommendations. I just wanted a perspective of this firm versus using our current auditors, who's familiar with our processes, and I think maybe may be able to tailor recommendations specific to us. So do you have any, like, why was the decision made with one over the other?
Well, so we had, one was they offered a better price for the service. So we recently ran an RFP for an auditing service that from several board members have requested that we look at that. It'll be on the June agenda for consideration. This firm submitted a response to the RFP as well. Because their response to this particular project was less expensive than the firm we currently use, I thought it would be an opportunity for us to save a little bit of money and introduce that firm and kind of see what their capabilities are. And full disclosure, I'm familiar with them. They are the firm that provides auditing services in Little Egg Harbor. So I know Fort Scott. But it's really, it was about price. To Mr. Kubricki's point, we don't have unlimited funds. And it was not a material difference. I want to say less than $1,000. But on a percentage of a $5,000 charge.
Thank you.
Anything else? Okay, Mr. Brown will,
Mr. Bonnicky,
Yes.
Mr. Kubricki,
Yes.
Mr. Williams,
Yes.
Ms. Chambers,
Yes.
Ms. McVeigh,
Yes.
Ms. Palladino,
Yes.
Ms. Papakua,
Yes.
Ms. Hannah,
yes.
Ms. Ernst.
Yes.
Motion's carried.
All right, I am going to ask, sorry to put you on the spot.
Me?
Yes, wake up. I'm gonna ask you to handle item D, because I really do need to go to the restroom, I'm sorry.
And don't forget, we're tabling,
I mean, what else can I do?
Pat, we're tabling 42.
Yes.
That was not, that was not
It
on
was
the agenda,
removed
right?
from the agenda.
We
was
removed
removed
that
from
in
the
the
agenda.
beginning,
Thank you.
yeah.
Okay, so we don't.
Okay, so
All
it's
right.
through 41.
Under item D, annual appointments, I'd like a motion for items D1 through D, holy moly.
41? 41.
No, yeah, it goes pretty far.
41.
41, since 42's been removed.
Motion.
Can I have a second? Any discussion?
You just get to that page, take vote.
Oh, one question.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Kubricki?
Under parliamentary procedures, number D1, Robert Rules of Order, who is the person responsible for ensuring that we are complying with those?
Typically, that is my role. Are you satisfied with the job?
Yeah, I just wanted to know who to talk
That's
to.
the
in
board
case-
secretary's role is typically
I
that.
didn't know if it was the superintendent's role, or the president's role, or the attorney's role.
It's typically
You know.
the board secretary.
Okay, thank you.
I think Amy does a good job stopping us too and filling us in when we need to revise.
A whole team of people.
Yes.
And just for clarification, a number of these state there until the next organizational meeting, so the next organizational meeting would be in January, correct?
Yes, that's correct. And then, and there was another question about if we make an appointment and want to change one of these people, nothing in here is a commitment to, you know, we can change these vendors at any time, we're not making a financial commitment to you.
Thank
All
you.
right. We're gonna vote on these now, D1 through D41. Mr. Bonnicky?
Yes.
Mr. Kubricki?
Yes.
Mr. Williams?
Yes.
Ms. McVeigh?
Yes.
Ms. Palladino?
Yes.
Ms. Hannah?
Yes.
Ms. Papakua?
Yes.
Ms. Chambers?
Yes.
Yes.
Ms. Ernst? Motion's carried.
Okay. Under item 13, residents forum on general topics only. We encourage the board or the community to participate. However, we do request that the public respect the reasonable time limit when commenting on any topic. Does anybody wish to come up and speak to us tonight? Yes, please do, and please state your name, please, for the record.
Yeah, name and address.
And name and address, please.
Thank you, Pat.
Hi, my name is Thomas Hand. I'm the interim director of special education. I'm not a resident, I'm an employee. I just want to take this time out to thank the board for bringing me aboard to do the interim duties there. I wanted to assure the board that a lot of the concerns that I had with my original report have been addressed, some of them fully, and other ones they are being implemented. So everything that was pointed out is taking place. I want to thank Dr. McCooley, Gina Frasca, and Erin Lichtenwaller for their help. There's a real, I've been involved in public education for 38 years before I retired. And Melissa at times laughs about this, but there's a real movement, I call it the McCooley movement, of I'm seeing tremendous strides in accountability and professionalism and creating the programs here. And I think that the board should be very proud of those three administrators, plus all the administrators there, but there's a really positive thing, someone from looking from the outside who's been involved in education for 38 years, from teacher to guidance counselor, social worker, to administrator and director of special education in a couple districts there, so you should be very proud about that. After viewing some of the past meetings on closed circuit, there was a couple questions that have repeatedly come up, and I wanted to address them there, that some of the people in the community had, and they're legitimate questions, but one of them was about my professional licenses, not the school certification there. I never said I had an LCSW, which is licensed clinical social worker. I have an LPC, licensed professional counselor. I'm a licensed clinical alcohol and drug counselor for the state of New Jersey, and Dr. McCooley has those recommendations there. Not recommendations, has copies of my license there. Again, I want to thank you. One of the other things that was brought up was, must be a colloquial term here. I mean, I live in Atlantic County, and I always thought everything north of Brigantine was, like North Jersey there. But, you know, things that came up, some concerns or criticisms when we first were making these changes there about a giggle test. I've been involved in education 38 years. I haven't found the giggle test yet there, but I want to thank you again and to assure you that your programs are moving in the right direction, and you should be very proud of everything you've done.
Thank you, Mr. Haynes.
Thank you.
Would anybody else like to speak?
Hi, Karen Rapallo. I just wanted to thank a couple people. Mrs. Pointer took the History Club to New York City this year and Washington DC on 2 Saturdays. Her and whoever went with her gave up their own personal time. As a parent, I really appreciate that. I wanted to thank somebody I know is here tonight, Mrs. Frasca. Did an excellent job on the pep rally, the AP pep rally. I thought it was great the way you had all the kids get up and speak. It was really awesome. It was the second time I've seen it, and it, you know, means a lot to me. Again, she spent the evening. It's her own time. I appreciate it. Also wanted to thank the staff, whoever was involved with the junior prom. I believe it was in Ocean City this year. Mr. Rock, and I know there were other people involved. I apologize, I don't know their names. Again, a really great evening for the kids. So, I mean, all that stuff is good stuff. It's truly appreciated. And I just wanted to say, I know sometimes people don't have the time to come tonight, but you all know, people watch the videos, people do appreciate, and even though we can't always come and say it, it means a lot. So I just wanted to say thank you for that.
Thank you. And thank you, ma'am, for coming and saying it. It's nice to hear something positive. Would anybody else like to speak? You? No? Alrighty. Not that I want to get confused here. We have another board forum before we will move into the first of 2 executive sessions. Anybody wish to speak during this board forum?
Mr. Pinelands was really wonderful. I just want.
Oh, wait, yeah, okay, yeah, sure.
Yeah, Mr. Pinelands, and congratulations to Luke Mathis, but they were all adorable. It was like, it was the cutest. It was wonderful. I loved it.
Good. Karen?
Yeah, I just wanted to recognize our student athletes. The teams again are having great seasons. I wanted to say, I saw the pictures from prom, looks like everybody had a great time, Mr. Pinelands. And I wanted to acknowledge, I agree with our community member. It takes a lot of staff members to pull off these events. And I just wanted to recognize, as we're heading into year end, we have senior prom and a lot of the year end activities. A lot of the staff members will be putting in some extra time to make sure that our students have some wonderful memories to take with them. And so I thank you all for all that you do, and if we don't see you next month, enjoy some of it.
I would,
Yes, go ahead, Jeff.
thank you. It's come to a point in my time serving this board. I've done it for 14 to 15 years, and I feel that my time served has reached a point where my effectiveness is no longer effective. Decisions, recommendations, things that I cannot, again, continue to be effective on. I hope that you can pass this down, please. You're going to pass it to Madam Chair. You know, I hope this board can make future decisions based on the students' best interests. Continue to celebrate our staff, our teachers, provide the resources for them to be successful. And also while being cognizant of us taxpayers. Because I will relegate myself to being a taxpayer. My child will still come to this school, obviously. I'm not going anywhere. And I just felt at the time now that, again, I can no longer move forward, and the letter that I provided you is my resignation of this board as a board member to be effective upon immediate receipt. Whatever the processes are to discuss in the next few days, if there needs to be any discussion, you'll turn off my email. Any paperwork I will certainly get rid of and burn, or if you want a couple of boxes of stuff that I happen to have.
No, I have boxes.
15
Thank you very
years
much,
of
yes.
serving the community. I've enjoyed it. I've lived it, I loved it. Been an alumni. Oh, I am an alumni. I'm not dead yet, so I'm not dead. I'm still present.
Okay.
And that's that.
All right.
So with that, good night.
Good night, Jeff. Thank you.
Before Jeff goes, I think the board, 15 years of service, should recognize the service he's provided, and I want to recognize that service and thank him for all that service. And Jeff, I appreciate your different points of view, and I know things can get frustrating sometimes. And, you know, doing it for 15 years is beyond what anyone can expect from someone. So thank you, Jeff. I'm proud to have met you and been on the board with you.
Thank you, Jeff.
Jeff?
Anybody else? I don't know.
I would just like to thank Mr. Denny for your presentation tonight. It gave me a better overview of what you've been doing over at Frog Pond this year. I personally have heard a lot about it, I just didn't know all the details, and I'm anxious to hear how it's gonna work next year, so thank you for that presentation. Mrs. Lichtenwaller, I don't even know if she's still, there she is. I have to say that was an excellent presentation. Great job. And I'm very glad that you're here and that you're working with our staff to bring our special education department up to where I know it can be. Mr. Hand, thank you for all your help. I know you've assisted Mrs. Lichtenwaller. Did I say your name right, Erin? Okay. And I know that you've been working closely with our staff because even though I'm retired 7 years, I am friendly with some of them, and I've heard some great things that you're doing. So thank you very much. Yes, our athletes have done a great job. Our golf has just won B South, I believe. So anyway, thank you for coming. And Jeff, thank you for your service of 15 years. I wasn't expecting that, so I don't know what else to say at this point. But anyway, thank you everyone for coming.
I just have a few things, and I will make them as quick as possible. I wasn't expecting that either, and I'm very sorry that it occurred. And I do thank Mr. Bonnicky for all of his time. We didn't always agree. That was also the case when he was my student. But I'm shocked, I guess. The other thing is a board business thing that, as your desire is to begin the budget season as quickly as possible, maybe as soon as July, that this board will be asked to determine at our June 15th meeting whether you wish to do this process as a board of the whole or whether you want to remain in committee. If you decide that you're going to do it in committee, then I will ask that you email me your desire to serve on that committee. Unfortunately, I had broken the law and didn't even realize it. That in policy, I can only appoint 3 people to serve on a committee because whether I like it or not, I am the ex officio member of every committee, which means that
And
there
I
has
just
to...
want to correct, you didn't break the law, you did not follow a policy.
I did not follow the policy. Well, listen, I just want to confess if I'm guilty.
Because we didn't have a board forum at any of them. Quorum.
So, I just, I want to make that clear that the 4th spot would have to be reserved for my attendance, not to mean that if you want to go to committee, that if somebody wants to attend in my stead on any given time, they can do so. The third thing I want to say is personal. You know I've been blasted in the newspapers for bemoaning my position as president. I don't regret it, but I'm not gonna tell you it's been easy. From the time I took the seat, it's been construction and going on ad nauseum, a lot of changes. However, I did something the other day that I am absolutely ashamed of. I was asked to attend an event in the junior high school in the cafeteria, and it was a combination of the Interact Club and the Rotary Club. I admire the teacher who handles that a great deal. She and her group do nothing but good deeds and sometimes get very little recognition for it. The individual had asked me and reached out to me if I could please attend this. And I said yes originally, and I really wanted to attend it. And I'm sure that every board member sitting here feels the same way at times. I was so battered, as this board has sometimes been battered, when we're trying our very best to do what's right and what's good for our students, that I did not want to step foot in a school that I love. I apologize to those students. I apologize to the teacher. I was a coward and I was self-serving. And our kids don't deserve that. So whatever is going on and whatever differences we have, because believe me, I have thought many times about doing what Jeff did tonight. I will not quit. You deserve it. Our kids deserve it. And if I make a mistake, or any of our board members make a mistake, I am sure that they will admit it. But we are here for our kids, and I truly do apologize for being that coward and for being so selfish. And bravo to those children. I need a motion to go into the first executive session to handle our comprehensive equity plan. Action may be taken when we leave it. I am hoping, how long?
I don't know how many questions, but I don't see this being long at all.
Mr. Kabricki, can you give me an estimate, please?
Yes, I'm going to be brief, even though that's against my nature, so I would expect 10 minutes, hopefully, unless that.
Let's set a time limit on it.
Okay, 15 minutes.
15
And
minutes.
action will be taken.
And action,
Action will be.
I certainly hope so. An action will be taken. We'll come out, we will vote on the item, and then we will have to go back into another executive session. Unless this board can come up with a better way to do it.
You need a motion?
I need a motion.
Motion. Second.
All in favor?
Can we do
Aye.
that? Can we do
Any
that right
opposition?
here?
I don't know why not, Betty Ann.
Yeah,
I
everybody's
just
gotta
need to
leave.
show everybody out.
They're not gonna care.
Who's mine?
My motion was?
Pat,
Pat and Karen.
Thank you.
There were. I don't know if there's any left.
You got someone
Let's
down
talk
there?
about the series.
are you an executive?
So you advertise, and then to type, I'm actually pulling it up right now.
I didn't know if it was voted to
No.
come out of executive.
We did vote.
Okay.
To come out?
Do it on the record.
back into regular session.
We are in regular session now. Okay, so I would like a motion to vote on item number 42, is that it? No, what was the number? 7,
A7.
A7.
A7. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
I guess we do a roll call, Nick.
Yep. Mr. Kubricki?
We're voting on item 7?
Yes, sir. We're voting on the comprehensive equity plan.
Yes, with the intent that we make progress in this area.
Okay, Mr. Williams?
Yes.
Ms. McVeigh?
Yes.
Ms. Palladino?
Yes.
Ms. Ernst?
Yes.
Ms. Hamidell?
Yes.
Ms. Papakua?
Yes.
Ms. Chambers?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, you can just hold still, all right. I am willing to handle this however way you want. I just want to make it very clear that if you want to send me your comments, okay, I will forward those comments to Pat. I was given very strict instructions. If maybe I shouldn't be talking about this in public.
The process you
It's just
can.
process.
The
The process you should.
If the tally was exemplary, okay, so whether, everybody agreed or not, but the majority voted exemplary, the comments that are chosen for that particular area can only be comments that are exemplary. If the thing was proficient, the comments may only show proficiency. They cannot even hint of that there wasn't proficiency in some area.
And what about exemplary?
Either way.
Exemplary
either way.
was, that was
okay.
on the other, yes.
You can. some
Either
can
way,
vary.
they have to
Proficient
match
and exemplary,
the
take
majority.
scales this way,
Right,
not proficient, take the
Right.
scales that way.
there is a thing on the last page, I don't know, I'm sure it was on your document, regarding, areas that we need to look at or areas we want to approve upon. It is that time that, you can send in
Oh.
check mark. During the actual discussion is when those of you people who had objections or had very strong feelings, that is the only time that something can come out that is contrary to what is in the compilation. So, absolutely.
And that's the way it's always been. I mean,
Absolutely.
That's the rules that have always.
Right,
been
I
that
just
way.
wanna make sure everybody's clear. I am more than willing to take this on if you trust me. And Pat is gonna have to help me.
Did everybody bring their copies?
I did
Because,
bring mine.
and did you highlight?
I
Yeah.
did.
So,
We can
I
start that
would
way.
do it that
That's
way.
what I
If you
did.
didn't, just,
If you want an extra hand with this, I'll be happy to help you with this.
Are we
okay.
done?
Is everybody good with that?
Yeah.
Pat, Betty Ann, and I will set this up.
Say that again?
We'll set it up so it gets done.
Oh, okay.
If you
I
wanna
said I
hand
was
your,
like-
Email you all three?
Okay.
Oh,
Do you
email
want
all
us to
three?
collect
Hand them to
what
me.
you highlighted?
Yeah.
No? Do you want to, that we can?
well, it's
You can
easier
start
than them having to
from
go back into their computers and email it. So, yeah, if you wanna
Yeah,
hand
if you
it
have it,
on.
hand it in so they don't have to go back. I mean, it looked like everything
Yeah,
was,
that way we
What
can
it
see
is,
what the
so-
majority feels with the comments. I even brought highlighters tonight too.
And Betty Ann, I'll be in touch with you. And,
Whatever you need, I'll
okay, thank you. All right, now may I have a motion to?
The alarm may go off, they're setting the alarm again.
Okay. May I have a
Tommy,
motion
Motion
to adjourn?
to adjourn.
no,
Motion to
Second.
adjourn.
I have mine on my phone, I'll Second. email it.
Okay, that's great. Second.
Second.
All in favor?
all right.
Woo-hoo!
9:43 PM.
So, am I giving you my hard copy?